Hello, it's Monday, May the 25th, the year 2020. This is Rudy Davis speaking from Year of Jubilee. Jubilee is spelled with one E, just like it's spelled in the King James Bible. Year of Jubilee Prison Ministries. I've got an important letter that I would like to read to you. I think it's an important story that is deserving of our time and attention. Before I get into reading a letter from Ayers, the first time I ever heard from him, I believe, was back in March of 2019. And the very first thing he said was, "How can I help?" And he asked me for a list of prisoners that he could write to. And he went about to write to prisoners on our prison ministry, which is the main thing that we encourage. If you ever listen to what my wife and I discuss, we don't like to tell people what to do. We don't try to push you in areas where you don't feel led, but we do encourage you to do one thing, and that is to write to prisoners. And Timothy Ayers asked me for a list. That list included Chris Moltz as well as other prisoners. And it's my understanding that Timothy Ayers took the time out of his life to write an encouraging letter to a prisoner. And for that, I am eternally grateful. But even more important than that, God sees the actions of all of us and the intentions of our heart. Now, Timothy Ayers and I have traded emails back and forth since that time last year, and he recently told me a story how he is in an elderly nursing home and he was recently fired for doing the right thing. I want to read to you his letter. He wrote up his story in a Word document, and I want to read it to you. I will somehow make a link where you can download this document yourself, probably through Scribd, which is a document sharing website. But I wanted to also share with you that I am familiar with the nursing home situation because my own 86-year-old mother has been stuck in a nursing home in Texas, and my wife and I have been prevented from seeing her except through a window only one time since late March. And this is all because of Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and they stuck his orders on the front desk when you walk into the facility, and that's what they're using as rules and regulations to prevent my wife and I from visiting my mother in person. Now, we do speak to my mother on the phone regularly. She seems to be in good spirits. We send her things every week. So we drive up to the nursing home and we give it to the front desk and they have to deliver it back to her. It's just like she's now in prison, right? It's the same thing. When we did visit her through the window the one time, it was all live monitored to make sure we didn't break protocol and hug her or anything like that. So it's just like my mother's been stuck in a CMU prison and we can only talk to her on the phone. Now, I have publicly said that the men and women who are at the ground level in the nursing facility, they are human angels, right? They are taking care of the elderly during this whole crisis, if you want to call it a crisis, COVID-19 situation. And I am grateful for their efforts to take care of my mother. But the leadership of the facility, who is constantly talking about forced testing, forced vaccinations, repeating the illegal mandates of the Texas governor, I'm no fan of the leadership of the facility. But given that they have my own mother hostage, you can imagine that it kind of restricts me in what I do, because you don't want to make the people mad that hold your own mother hostage. And not only that, if my own mother was to call me and ask me to do anything, whether it be speak out loudly against the people that run the facility or pick her up or whatever she wanted me to do, I would do it. But she is at that facility and she likes it there now, as bad as it is. And we will honor my mother's wishes. So this is a letter. Let's move on from that. The purpose of this was to read a letter from Timothy Ayers. Timothy Ayers is a male nurse at a nursing home, is my understanding, and I have not read this letter yet, so we're going to read it together for the first time. And here's what Timothy Ayers wrote, and let's read it. Dear Rudy and your lovely wife, Erin, my name is Tim, and I am writing from the state of New Jersey. I am an educated man with a degree in chemistry and many years of highly technical work where I was rewarded monetarily well. I have a young family that I support, and everything would have been well had the Lord not led me to confront evil. This letter is for those of you who either work in nursing homes or who have loved ones who are in nursing homes. You must be made aware of the truth behind what is currently going on in these prisons. First, these facilities are almost all run by the children of the devil, who attempt to be as cheap as possible while charging extortion level prices from desperate families. However, that is a debate for another day. I am going to relay what happened to me as a cautionary tale so that anyone working in a nursing facility who even attempts to be kind will likely lose their job, and any family member desperate to see their loved one may end up in front of a devil judge. All was well with my life a few months ago. I had lost most of my money to a 3-year illness, but I was back into my career. Suddenly, I was contacted by the administrator of a nursing home that I had remodeled and where my father-in-law also stayed. The entire management staff went down with COVID-19, and the place was falling into chaos. God told me immediately what I needed to do. I left my lab job and for less money went into a COVID-19 infected nursing home to fill in as an assistant administrator. I saw people suffering because the aides were afraid to go near them. They weren't being fed or getting fluids. The place was not getting cleaned. There was no UV lighting systems in the HVAC ducts. And COVID positive patients were locked in rooms with the doorknobs turned inside out. Wow. They were pulling on the doors and shrieking in horror. My first day, I put an end to that. The first couple of days were horrible. Many people died, and the coroner was so overloaded that I had to assist in lifting bodies onto gurneys. But eventually, due to my efforts, things got better. Now to the meat of the story. Obviously, people were scared. However, the nursing home was being very secretive with how many ill people were there, and did not want any information getting out to the public or their families. The state also had a no visitor policy. Well, God is our judge, not man. Period. There would be no way in hell I would deny a family member a moment with their loved ones. The state allowed a 10-minute visit if someone was dying. So I simply granted every request and let anyone who truly wanted to see their mom or dad. I let anyone in who truly wanted to see their mom or dad. I eventually started getting warned, threatened with HIPAA violations for telling loved ones the state of their family member. When it became impossible to get people in, I began using my own personal cell phone to FaceTime families with their elderly sick loved one. This was at great risk to not only myself, but my wife and young son at home, as they were COVID positive, and I had to stand just a foot away from them and let them breathe directly onto my phone. However, I felt protected by the Lord in performing this act of kindness. It made people so happy that tears rolled down their face, or they just cried out loud to have that time. I would stand there for an hour or until the battery ran out of my phone if needed. It's called compassion, and it's godly. I was warned by higher-ups that the use of my personal cell phone was a HIPAA violation as it involved taking pictures in a medical facility. They conspired with their father, Satan, to get rid of me so that they could continue to implement their cruelty and divide families from each other. After refusing to be a cruel, cowardly devil, I was let go. Coincidentally, this was after all the changes I implemented led to a dramatic reduction in COVID, and every single resident was well by my last day. The state just loves to put themselves between families. We have child protective services taking homeschooled kids, and now due to this virus, they will tell you that you cannot visit anyone in your family. Recent decisions to imprison individuals for trying to feed themselves are disgraceful. I now find myself without income and a young family to support. I'm sure the Lord will take care of us, but everyone working in one of these facilities needs to know keeping your job is not worth an eternity in hell for cooperating with the children of Satan. It's truly amazing how people will put a short time on this earth above eternity simply to serve Satan and his wicked brood of money-hungry children. Below is a text I received from a hospice nurse after I was let go. Hello, Tim. Sorry for the late response. I'm so sorry to hear about this. You definitely helped us save the lives of the residents and were so compassionate, caring, and hardworking. I appreciate all your kind words, and I wish you luck going forward. I will say the past couple of weeks have been quiet in terms of communication from within the facility, and I have yet to hear from. I do thankfully keep in contact with the nurse practitioner. Stay safe and healthy. Does that sound like the type of person who should be fired, or someone keeping with the Lord's commandment to treat others as you would want to be treated yourself? God bless you all, and I pray for everyone who has a loved one under the wicked thumb of the state, whether it's a prison, nursing home, or even a hospital. Sincerely, Tim from New Jersey. So I'm going to put a link to this letter where you can read it yourself. I'm also going to put his email address on the screen if you would like to reply back to Tim by sending him an email. And there's a GoFundMe that's been put together. I'm not associated with that, and I did not open it. As you know, my prison ministry does not directly get involved with fundraising. But there is a fundraiser for this man who has lost his job. If you want to contribute, that's your business. And if you have any questions, I recommend you send Timothy Ayers an email, and I'm sure he will be transparent with you. My experience with him has been he has been a caring individual who has written to prisoners. And I wanted to get his story out about him losing his job caring for the elderly. Thank you for your time, and may God lead us and direct us as we go forward.